What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. A big reminder, I'm going to be live streaming this afternoon, just hanging out. Hope to see you there. Maybe playing a little WoW Classic afterwards, after we covered today's news. But it's been a while since I've seen you. And I did manage to overcome that channel strike, it looks like. So, yay. Rock, Paper, Shotgun is a video game journalism website that has shockingly low engagement. For a Twitter feed with almost 200,000 followers, it's rare for them to get more than 2 or 3 likes. Why do you think that is? 190,000 followers. The best it can manage is 10 or 20 likes, 2 likes, 5 likes, 7 likes, 2 likes. Here's 318. That's pretty good. And it's still pretty pathetic for an account that size, but almost no interaction at all. 2, 3 comments. Most of their posts have 0 comments at all. And then all of a sudden you see this one. Whoa! 195 comments, 10 favorites. That is what Webster's dictionary defines as being ratioed. And you might wonder, zoinks, what could have led to this? Well, let's look at the headline. Code Vein has a neat combat that's mired in shonky level design, naff characters, and archaic sexism. Here's Matt's review. Now, none of these things, well, few of these things matter to a game review, but as you can expect, the replies are hilarious. Many blue checkmark related memes and large-chested waifus meant to send the author into a tizzy. Many of these lily-livered video game journos seem to let their personal view of what's right and wrong in moralistically in society strongly interfere or influence exactly what their video game review is about. This is a primary differentiating factor between the video game community and the video game media. It's consistently proven, as we looked at with Kelly Plague of GameSpot last year, dropping some ridiculous comments about how all the zombies in Days Gone were white, and that was problematic, and then giving the game a suspiciously low score. So I started to look at some other websites, and admittedly, Code Vein is not a perfect game. It has issues with it, clearly. Not every website says it's amazing, but most websites say it's above average. Code Vein, a janky but strangely satisfying dungeon crawler. Here's Code Vein, more like Dud Souls. Ha 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 ha. Such a genius headline. However, this review does raise legitimate gripes, although some of them are that game too hard. Now, the game does have some punishing levels, but near the end of this particular article, they relate it to the same release time of The Surge 2, which is kind of also Dark Souls inspired, at least in their opinion. The difference between the two games is that Surge 2 makes each failure like a learning experience, while Code Vein feels like the many failures are a result of the deck being heavily stacked in favor of the enemies due to poor combat mechanics. Code Vein has some good ideas to start with, a lot of promise as it tries a different take on the Souls formula, but it ended up taking the wrong lessons from the series. Gamers who want a co-op Dark Souls experience might find things to enjoy in Code Vein, as well as those seeking truly masochistic gaming experience, but Code Veins has too many frustrating aspects to recommend to anyone in its current form. Now, when we look at Metacritic, the overall Metascore is a 69, and it's not great, but that's only based on 8 critics. The user score isn't that amazing either at a 64. So I think it's fair to point out that certainly this game does have some issues. We have basically some critic reviews giving it high-ish marks like GameStar and Shock News, but no big media outlets giving it much higher than a 70. PC Games N, here's a 70. Games Radar giving it a 60. GameSpot giving it a 60. And another irrelevant website giving it a 55. So certainly there are problems with the game, but that's not the issue that Rock Paper Shotgun has. Yes, Code Vein is a sexist action RPG about post-apocalyptic vampires that borrows liberally from Dark Souls while speeding up and complicating its combat in ways that I really like. The plot's a bit rubbish. Code Vein wears the anime influences on its sleeves, whether it bothers to wear clothes at all. Oh, you're afraid of bobs, aren't you? See, the problem is you get reviews like this. Oh yeah, what I think Code Vein. Give it a breast. Ha 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 ha. You know, this is a style of art that definitely appeals to a particular group of people, and there's nothing like innately, I think, even risque about it. Certainly, any of these shows could air on modern era's Cartoon Network. So what are you exactly upset about? This is the same kind of, industry that, posts pictures of Misty from Pokemon in a group of men doing their things, and Hermione Granger and things like that. That's okay, but for whatever reason, this isn't okay. The industry in and of itself, in particular Western game journos, seem to have a real problem with beautiful women. Code Vein borrows wears its anime influences on its sleeves when it bothers to wear clothes at all. As the game starts, we learn some blokes with big swords defeated an evil queen, but not before she'd blown up the world and turned everyone into revenants via an airborne plague. Revenants can't die, but they do turn into monsters if they don't drink enough blood. Cool concept. Usually harvested from increasingly rare magic plants. Monsterization. Jesus, I thought they were making a period joke. If they don't take their gas masks off, if they take the gas masks off and they're not at a specific moment where the character needs to look cool. One of the few review notes. This is going to be consistently embarrassing booby, isn't it? Consistently embarrassingly booby. Can I read today? I don't think I can. I can't remember if I wrote that after realizing how 80% of the female player character presets are missing 80% of their clothes, or whether it was in the opening cutscene that introduced me into this person's beautifulness. With one or two dubious exceptions, every woman in the game is rolled as eye candy. So, you know that, I don't know if this game journalist knows this, but I'm going to maybe while he's borrowing Wi-Fi off his neighbor and his other 3 roommates aren't at home, maybe he'll watch my video. And it's just a video game, right? These aren't real women being objectified. Like, you understand that, right? They're pixels. With one or two dubious exceptions, every woman in the game comes rolled out as eye candy, and genuinely tedious numbers of gigantic, corrupted boss monsters wear nothing but bras and thongs. So, sounds awesome. One cutscene used the same ridiculous penning up from the bobs to the face shot 3 times. This stuff can jump straight in the same bin with all those ads you see for terrible browser strategy-based games. Even so, I still probably wouldn't have chosen sexist as my first descriptor of the game if not for the cutscenes shown in this screenshot. Let's see. And now I've got 3 more sheep to look after. A man's work is never done. So one line you didn't like makes the whole game this thing. Now, you might have a problem with that particular line, but I don't think it makes the whole game uncomfortable. Do you? Titillation is one thing, but having one of the main heroes allude to 3 women as animal followers and that it's his manly duty to take care of is quite another. Well, maybe he's supposed to be a D-bag. Did you ever think that? Like, not every character is written to be like a soy-infused skinny jeans guy that weighs less than his girlfriend. I just don't understand. He isn't called on this, to be clear. The women smile and nod, meekly. It's embarrassing. And it's hard to take it at anything other than face value in a game where the central female character mysteriously never gets tattered remains of her top fixed. So, again, at what point? So, you know, it's so obvious. The frustrating thing is this games journalist. By the way, I sincerely think that there's definitely a problem with having somebody who's like a fanboy or a fangirl of a particular gamer series do the review. You don't want that. But I don't think there's any value other than clickbait, rage bait, in having somebody that clearly doesn't like a style of game review it. Nobody, your opinion is really not relevant. Having me review Candy Crush would be like 2 words. It sucks. And like, yet it's a wildly popular game and it clearly doesn't suck, but the game is not for me. So why do they always insist on having people that just hate the genre altogether review the game? Like, they know this guy is like an SJW guy. They know he's going to be triggered by this game, and they chose him specifically to review this game. This is particularly frustrating because when Code Vein stopped haranguing me with fantasy busts, I found myself having a pretty good time. See, that's the thing. None of this other stuff should matter towards your review at all, because you knew it going in. Why are you going to like discount the game? First of all, every game is not for everybody. So the idea that, well, I'm reviewing it as if this game is for 13-year-old girls who, by the way, they like these two. They like these two. But, you know, what's wrong with how they look? I mean, the men are pretty exposed too. I mean, he's just as exposed as 2/3 of these women, 3/4 of them. So why aren't you saying, why does this guy have such a deep V neck, deep V cut? It's overwhelming at first, and one of the reasons why I like it, you're fighting in the corrupted souls of former fellow revenants, which is bigger and more bestial depending on how strong they were back when they could hold a conversation. Even the bog standard enemies are good and deadly, sometimes ready to snarfle half of your health bar over a single mistimed dodge. If your mind wanders mid-fight, expect to spend some time wandering back to where you died. It's the same time, one strike and you're out deal from Dark Souls, where you only get to keep your XP if you manage to reclaim it. So at the end, you write all this stuff about a game that, to me, you clearly have really a fundamental problem with. When your companions aren't jabbering away in the middle of their exploration, though, this is at least mostly skippable. It's possible to reduce your exposure to the plot down to moments of confused exasperation, such as, why did that man just slam a blue spiky thing down into that woman's chest? I don't know. I don't want to trivialize the sexism, though, because it's far from harmless. Here we go. Who does it harm? Show me on the pixel where you were harmed by it. Including competent female fighter doesn't stop Code Vein from lecherously painting women as subservient objects or monstrous villains. These are archaic tropes I can't endorse. But yes, I'm enjoying myself. Okay, so the game's good. And you whine about Bobs. You're the physical embodiment of the Western game journalist meme. Again, another perfect example of a game that really wasn't on my radar, but now is. And from all honest reviews, it seems like the game is at least above average, but it shouldn't be on your immediate buy list unless you like the genre already. But I'm sure this journalist is going to sell plenty of copies of Code Vein. It's definitely on my radar now after reading this ridiculous review. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Above, you'll find some links to watch more videos, as well as a nice big button to subscribe, which I hope you'll do. If you did enjoy it, make sure before you go that you leave a like and a comment on the video, because you are the #1 reason this channel continues to grow, and I appreciate you.